What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, class swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you guys are feeling better than the SPY last 3 days. I know it's a long time. It's a long time to be on a dip, but we'll see. Maybe we could bounce. Maybe we need a little bit more. There is some companies today with a little bit of gap up, but then don't forget, yesterday was a gap and go in the market as well, and none of that held, and it did not hold pretty quickly. So we had I think one little green candle, and then nothing but selling, just continuing the trend from Friday. We'll see what happens today, but. We got AJ in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Albert, Amy, Anna, Andy, Bill. Good morning to Brad. We got Brad. Good morning to you. We got Cindy, Frank, Keith, Lauren, Lucian. We got Madam High Stakes in the house. We got Marius. Good morning to Martina, Ray, Rob, Wendy, William. We've got Clarice. Good morning to you out on the YouTube land. LC from Wisconsin. Good morning to you. Garla Pete. Garlapati? Did I say that correct? From India? I probably butchered your name, so I apologize. But welcome. And we got Joe in the house, all my other lurkers in YouTube land. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Even if you're not going to say nothing, it's okay. I still love you. But, whew. All right, let's see what we got. Well, we do have another gap and go today. If that makes anybody feel good about themselves. After the gap and go, which was a much bigger gap and go on Monday, we got a much smaller one today. Nothing too crazy in terms of real sentiment. I do have resistance on SPY, not too far away, so I'll be watching for my first resistance come in, 597.70, and then it depends on when this market opens. We just had another jump down. That's gonna be my next one. My first one, 597.26. But again, we'll see where this thing opens at. And even right now, that last little jump on the SPY actually took us down below the closing price of yesterday. So maybe some more weakness continuing. Support, I don't have much in the way. I'm going to stretch out this support as much as I can. That's the best I could do on this one. 597.21. We got through that already yesterday. I don't think that's a strong one. That's going to come all the way back from, I'll even go to this one. Give me the closest date possible. That's going to take me to November 25th. I don't think that's strong at all. And the next one to the downside after that. So if none of this holds, if we have a week open, we're probably looking for 594.81, and then I see some closer, better VPOC somewhere closer to 593.15. So all that being said, with all those levels, you have a lot of resistance above you. You don't have much support below you, and we might see some more continued downward movement. Tomorrow, Nvidia does report earnings after the bell. Maybe that could help push some of the tech names. A lot of the dividend stock names, the safety play names, they're getting a little bit of love. Um, where you've seen even Hershey, I was looking at this one before, something like Hershey, which has been kind of beat up. We've had a nice little move, but it is a dividend stock. MO was having a decent, they had a little rally back in November, but we're at the yearly high, at least for MO, so that's still kind of moving. Coca-Cola has had a nice little push as well in the last few weeks, just as the rest of the market is coming down. So tech, momentum stocks, the Palantirs of the world, they are all still just a little bit under pressure, and no different in the crypto space as well. But we'll check out the Qs first. Yeah, we already see some Coinbase MSTR coming in. The Qs are again not giving me any real direction, so I'm gonna have to just throw it back to where we were yesterday, and that was a very decently strong close, low of the day. We did come back into this little pennant pattern right pretty much at that point, so maybe there's something there, and I'm really just stretching for something for why this market should stay above water for right now. Otherwise, the immediate resistance takes me back to the VPOC on January 29th. That is also the closing price of yesterday. I guess our bull case would be just to be patient if you are a bull. Be patient at open, maybe on the Qs. This thing comes down to this 518.34, and then we look for a potential rally from that point. Yesterday's VPOC, that's going to be all the way 523.72, so there is a little risk reward. If we can get some bulls to step in, we just didn't see any of it yesterday. So watch this 518.34 if that starts to break. Again, there's a few levels in between. I don't think much of them are that strong, but then I think we got 513.77 will be the next spot for me on the Qs. Bitcoin, I don't know. Do we want to take a look at Bitcoin? I don't know. That's a lot of red. Long consolidation. We know that we were sitting in that sideways chop zone for, I don't know, 3 weeks, something like that. We started to get the break yesterday. We're continuing the selling today, so not looking great in the Bitcoin space. Decent flush. We do have about 200. That is somewhere right around 85,797. That's my 200 EMA. A little bit further to the downside will get me to that next VPOC. So let's see if we can break this 20. See if we come down to this 84,937. And the next spot down I have is 79,955. The problem with all of those zones, and again, there is some volume in here. I think if you start really breaking this 86,312, so no wonder we got some kind of a bounce there. But if we start breaking that zone, I don't really have any real volume in Bitcoin, unfortunately, until the next small spot, about 80,800. The one after that, 76,345. And really, the volume only really starts coming in this zone down here, and that's going to give me a spot somewhere around 66,896 for some bulls to try to protect. So we'll see if we can get a little holding at the 200 somewhere in the zone. Maybe this is all just a big trap and just a big nightmare, and we wake up and it was just nothing. But it looks like a significant double top, good consolidation breakdown. I think maybe we chop and I think we get a bigger pullback on Bitcoin. Wendy needs her therapy dog. I like that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. But who's gonna give that dog therapy? You got to get like a therapy cat then. It's crazy. We got Coinbase is just having a rough, a rough go at it. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red days in a row. If today is red, it would be day number 7. It is a retest gap. I don't know if I really want to play it for a retest. If this thing opens, my case for a retest to play this thing bullish would be if this thing starts getting a close, maybe back above 220. But otherwise, you didn't really hold. We had good volume candle on what day is this? November 11th. So we've already broken that down prior. You're starting to get into where this gap up was. You had VPOC and some kind of support, which we were trying to hold on that one, 252.95. Didn't hold it. Now you are opening below this gap candle. So I'm not loving that. And then also location. Again, this is why I want to get at least above 220 to say maybe we do have a little retest today. But and I still think we might have a little retest. So we might have some bounce on this one, but that's probably going to be met into this 219.67, essentially 220. That's where I think resistance starts to come in. You got a beautiful looking gap fill all the way down to 195.21, so that should give us a lot more room. Yes, there is some support in between there, but I think at this point we got to be looking more to this gap fill, especially if Bitcoin starts to sell a little bit further. So I like it to the short side. Maybe get that quick little bounce first. And then if we get some green candles out of the gate, I'd be open to looking to continue the downward pressure on Coinbase. We'll see what happens on that one. Tesla, there was a couple names bouncing, but Tesla didn't make that list. So Tesla's still inside day from yesterday. We still got out 200 EMA at 303. The only other thing that could kind of look to save us. Well, there's a high volume candle. We're underneath that, and that's not great. We got another high volume candle here. We have not retested that one. So I think our next spot to the downside, decent strong bounce spot, somewhere around this 318 zone. Otherwise, for today, we are still opening underneath. And again, the morning of this morning might get a little tricky because you are inside day. You might have a rally into yesterday's VPOC, so 333, 31. That's still roughly about $4 higher, but I think that's probably a spot if we could get there to short. I would like to play Tessie to the short side with first targets 319.41, and again, maybe we get down to 318.23 today. Anything past that point, that rally to the downside just absolutely continues. And then I think for today at least, we're looking at 303. The real spot a little bit longer term, somewhere around 298.12, and then we're almost into my buy zone on Tesla. We'll see. But I think we have a little bit more pressure on Tessie. Doesn't look like the Bulls are going to try to hold this double bottom. And again, risk reward would tell you if this holds and you get some kind of crazy double bottom, you bounce out of here. Fantastic risk reward, but I'm not loving this opening location. So the closer I can get to that 333 for a short, the happier I am. But we'll see how those candles want to open on that one. Let's see what else we got. MSTR. Probably gonna follow that trend for Coinbase. This one, I don't know. I might be a little bit more interested on a. No, I don't know. I don't even think I want to play this one bullish. I maybe. Yeah, it is a retest gap. You're opening into some support. I don't know if it's a phenomenal support. It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there was much real volume on that day. But look for 267.26 to holds. I don't know if it does. And then even to your higher side, you're looking at 274.64. So if it wants to make a spectacular move, and I don't think that's going to happen without Bitcoin just absolutely reversing from here, but we'd be looking at a 291.04 target. If we could run into that zone, terrific. I'd be completely out, but I'd be absolutely terrified to see if we could get past this 270, let's say 275 zone first. So I think if there is a retest bounce, which might come in again at open, that would take you into about 275. I'd personally just be out. You're still making $6, something to that extent. And then if it's going to break, you probably see intraday something like this if you wanted to try to get back in for the rest. But you probably see that little run up, you get that breakthrough, you retest it, and then maybe you have a shot back to this 291 zone. Otherwise, the only reason you might want to play this thing bullish is just because it is a retest gap at a little support, but I think that's a very weak one. And we're probably looking for much lower levels that would take us into 255.44 and a little bit closer to that 200 as well. So I think keep it on the list. Going bullish on it, I think it's tough. But it's got $5. Maybe if it's gonna do a small little retest. We got Hims on the list. We got McDonald's. They're 45.93. Japanese biotech. We got Hims is a little bit of a yesterday was a retest gap. They had earnings come out. I think they did beat on earnings. I don't know where guidance was. I think they said guidance was lower. And then I think the Ozempic drug, which is Eli Lilly, I think that got a lower sell price. So a little bit of a discount on Ozempic, which Hims' entire business model is how to get you drugs for cheaper. So that could take away some of their market edge, I guess. But yeah, not this was a momentum stock. Same thing with Palantirs of the world. Same thing with any of those stocks that have just run up. They're all kind of dropping, so it's not one company specifically related, but they're all pulling back. I wouldn't be too quick to look for a bounce on some of these things. You are again opening into a little support. Maybe at open you get a tiny little bounce that's going to take you to like 41.20. We'll have to see what happens there. Lots of levels of resistance all the way up. And if you come in for a retest, a big retest, I'd be shocked if we get here today, but $50.22. Otherwise, I think, again, there's a little bit more pressure to the downside. This one could be tricky. You're down a lot already. You're running right into that 50 EMA, another spot where maybe some bulls try to put their bids, or some of the short side of this might want to take some targets. Otherwise, if you start breaking down, you got 37, 34, and then my next Really good support on this one would take me into like this 34.21 zone. If we get there, we'll see what happens. And again, we need to see some of those. If momentum stocks want to run again, we're going to need some momentum actually to start stepping into the market. And it doesn't look like at open today that is the case quite yet. But HIMS, I think, still a little bit weaker. But again, at open, maybe a little bit of just chop, I would think. MCD. MCD could be interesting. So again, do I think McDonald's is going out of business if we do have a recession? My guess is no. Although I think they might actually struggle. So I think they'd be just with food costs, unless food costs comes down, they might not be as cheap of an option for people going out to find something to eat. But so I don't know how they handle a recession quite like we've seen maybe a recession in 2007, 2008, or a recession in 2019 when we had the pullback, or 2001, where just they had a bigger dollar menu. They were kind of known more for the cheaper service. They've kind of remodeled their brand a little bit to try to be like a higher class fast food place, which actually might, I think, bite them if we do ever come back into a recession. So I don't know how this one plays out longer term. And I'm not saying we have the recession, but it just all ifs and buts or candy nuts. Otherwise, McDonald's, it is at least a little bit of a safety play. I think it's kind of high up here for like a long-term investment for me. Otherwise, a good run into some resistance. You are having a little bit of gap up. Maybe you get some bulls that continue. We ran all the way into this 310.26 yesterday. That would be my target for today. All of those other previous ones we've already messed with. We've already gone bullish. I don't think I'd get in bullish right at open. I'd see if you could pull back, look for a spot to buy 307.58. And then obviously the dream would be breaking out, getting a solid close above 310.34 for continuation. That next immediate spot would take you to about 311.61. But I think any closing above 310, roughly 30, you most likely have another new higher high outside of this pivot. We will see. McCaviar. I mean, they haven't really rebranded themselves to that high scale yet, but they're working on it. They're working on it. Yeah, I went into a McDonald's. I took the kids there. It was like I went before the renovation. Did not like I don't go every day, so I don't even know what the time lapse was between the two. But yeah, the first time I went, it looked like a regular McDonald's. I went to the same one. It looked like it looked like I was at the plaza. I was like, well, where am I? The burger hasn't changed though. Nothing. The food is still the same. It's just nothing really changed. You just feel like you want to just spend more money, I think. 45.93. So this is Japanese biotech. It's been pulling back. We had a good run on this one. If you're looking to buy this one, again, decent uptrend. Uh, Probably your move really started here. Go with a fib or some kind of buying opportunity. I don't love the fact that this higher volume candle got taken out. That's going to throw a little resistance into this 336 zone. But you're roughly at the 618. I'm not even actually loving the close on this one. The only thing I could pretty much do is just extend this out. Maybe this move started here. That would look a little bit better. So maybe a spot where you'd be interested. You have some risk reward if you like this ticker, if you want to try to get into it. But you're right at that 618. Your stop really should be below this candle from February 3rd. And that might be a nice little swing. You do have a good uptrend. You're still above all moving averages. So you might have a spot for kind of buying the dip on this one. I don't know too much about the Japanese biotech industry, besides the fact that it's probably in Japan and biotech. Outside of that spectrum, I'm lost. But if just on a charting basis, this might be a decent move if you were bullish kind of on that industry. You can take a look into that one. Decent buy spot though. For an attempt, KBR. That looks interesting. Uh, Immediate longer term target would only probably get you to about 52.51. if you could recapture really like 52.70, start getting above there, you might have an opportunity to get to like 54.31. I think I would have to look at this more as a swing trade as opposed to day trade. I don't know if there's enough room on this one, but that is a good little bear trap candle. Obviously, with earnings coming out yesterday, they did beat earnings per share. They did beat on revenue by 123 million. Technically, it's a little bit of a retest gap from yesterday's close. But I kind of love the fact that we're just gapping above the Friday candle. So that does look a little different. Again, targets, immediate targets on this one, I think 51.63, and then a really good target, probably about 52.05, if you could get there. I don't think KBR has a big squeeze. Let me see. Finviz, KBR. Yeah, you're not gonna have that short float on this one, which is probably better since momentum stocks are dying anyway at the moment. I think I like it for a swing. If you could, you might not have to even play it today. See what happens on this one. If you get some kind of a pullback and maybe even back to this like 49.25, you get really good risk reward. But you are still going to be putting your hand out there trying to catch this falling knife that has been having a significant pullback off the highs. Really good long-term support, great bear trap. If you could survive today and then maybe get like another red candle in there somewhere, you probably could take a breakout, something like that. But that looks interesting for a potential swing. I like it. Mustafa said last week you told me that 318 was good entry point and today closed precisely at that price. I'm in personally. That's the ticker we just looked at? 44593. You hopped in. Yeah, that was a pretty much the 618 retracement. So again, the only thing is depends on where your stop is for that trade. So if you're swing trading, I'm looking for something here. If you could get that immediate bounce, start getting a decent move higher, get out of this zone where some bulls might be interested. The key spot for you is confirmation. You got to get it back above this 335 now. That will signify that there is some strength still in this ticker, and that will get you a decent level of support. But nice work. Nice work. All right. Let's see. Joe has a bunch of them today. All right, let's do some work. We got AppLovin. Again, momentum stock. I don't know when the momentum comes back in. Eventually it will. There's there's going to be buy the dippers. Some of them might just have to get margin call first, unfortunately. But we have high wave candle. We are opening below yesterday's VPOC, also below the 20. I think you have a little bit more room down for retracement. Probably looking into this 384.40. I'd see what kind of candles we get at open today, but a nice little retest back into that 20 into yesterday's VPOC, somewhere around 411.69 to go short, kind of continue that trend down. Probably for today, yesterday's low, I would imagine, good psychological level. I think either today or probably the next day or two, you have that continuation breakdown, and I'd be looking into this 384.74 really to establish a position if you like it. I kind of liked it a lot more, to be honest, back when it was like $60, $50, than buying it just a couple short quarters later at $410 or even $385. So again, longer term position, I don't know. This thing is still up a lot. It is pulling back, but I think that would be your next spot to kind of look, see if it comes down to like that 384 zone. Let's look at Kohl's. I did buy some Kohl's again at 1185 a couple days ago, somewhere in here. I don't know. This one's gonna be very careful on this one. I am in it for a long-term investment, and I am probably going to get trapped. Most likely. Kohl's dividend. So right now you have about a 16.3% divvy on Kohl's. That seems like a dividend trap if I've ever seen one. So they pay out 50 cents per share. Um, it's an interesting opportunity, and that's why I hopped in it for the long term. I did also have some at like $18. I bought a little bit more, somewhere closer to like just under 15. and then I was buying a couple more. I will buy one more time on Kohl's. But this is where the challenge comes in, and just be prepared for it. It is very likely their earnings are March 11th. So they're going to be putting out numbers, good, bad, or indifferent. The bigger thing to this one is people are gravitating, they will be gravitating toward this higher dividend yield. If the yield doesn't change, the yield will change, but if the dividend doesn't change, there's no dividend cuts, nothing like that. You might see that extended rally, especially if those numbers are good. They've closed a bunch of stores down, which these companies, retail companies, it kind of works. Their balance sheets work a little differently. So their debt, their long-term debt is actually a lot of it is their leases, which is they're just renting the space, but the way they account for it is counts as long-term debt, which is not really there. So you don't really always trust those numbers a little bit. And now that they closed some stores, I'm guessing they also laid off some people. Maybe that makes their debt look better than it, like more realistic to what it is. And it looks like they've made some progress, even though nothing has happened. Obviously, they will also lose some revenue on that one, so you have to balance that out a little bit. But Kohl's is perking up a little bit. You have a double bottom. You got that 20 EMA in here. And if we could slowly get up back above, I would say yesterday's VPOC 1232 and can manage to get past this 1240 zone. There's nothing really in the way back to about 1279. $12 stock, that's really good. Where I will make my next buy on Kohl's is once that dividend, most likely inevitable dividend cut comes in, because that's going to really piss off some dividend people. You probably see that next move down. T, I believe, did the same thing. Back here. Where was it? I think it was back here somewhere where they made a divvy cut to some extent. Somewhere back here, they made a divvy cut. You'll see the sell off for people just trying to get out that was in it for the dividends. After that comes in, then I think you have an opportunity, if you like Kohl's, to pick up some positions. Obviously, you won't get the divvies, but now instead of paying out the investors, maybe they can reinvest it into the business and then have some kind of turnaround story. So it's kind of interesting on a long-term basis. I will assume I'm going to get clapped on that first one, probably drops another 20-30% from here. And then I will be buying dollar cost averaging, and then eventually we'll see if there's a kind of a turnaround story. But pricing's not bad if Kohl's doesn't go out of business. We'll see. We got Celsius. I went off on a tangent on that one, huh? CELH. Wow, I was at the bell already. We got CELH. That tangent was just too long. This one probably, I think, looks a little bit weaker. If this thing can get back above 3150, it's got a shot to maybe hang in there to pop to 3235. Otherwise, I like that one a little bit more to the downside. But that is the opening bell. So make sure in YouTube land, you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons if you've not done so already. And it went quick. It went quick. But other than that, you guys are awesome. I'll catch you guys all tomorrow.